So I did the show, and it started out with no audience or anything, because I don't know how to do that kind of stuff, but it ended up having one, long story, that I won't get into. But, you know, I was close to I think for my life and for my children and stuff, it was such a fantastic job. And I think as much as you can in a half-hour format, that we somehow subverted some of the jankier things that happen in that world, and it felt pretty real. I'm not saying that it feels like this, like what we do. It's very different. I mean, I had a good partner in that, this guy Kevin Corrigan, who's an amazing, and I feel really guilty for I dragged him out of New York theater and indie film only and brought him into this sitcom world because he was my friend, you know. And he'll go, "Hi, man. Hey, baby, you bought me a house. Don't apologize," you know. And but it was a good experience. But I do think that on those jobs, 3 episodes in, you're like, I know who this guy is now. I've kind of explored Sean Finnerty enough. It's time to get another gig. It's time to try something new. This feels a lot more, doing Terriers feels like it's a lot more of a challenge, and it's a lot more fulfilling creatively. And then you.
When you go to Juilliard or something, do you see a difference in actors who went to Juilliard or to some other schools, or actors who didn't have any education whatsoever?
He goes, yeah, you know what? If people train, however they train, you see a difference. I mean, you can't hide behind it.
Yeah.
You can't say, you know, you can't be in the middle of a scene and sucking it up. You're like, I just don't buy it. And the guy's like, but I went to Yale. You know? Yeah, well, you don't strike me as a drug dealer, dude, and that's what the scene's about. You know? So you go, fuck yourself. Yeah. You know? Because sometimes the big snobby school stuff is just another thing to hide behind. Because with the real deal with what we do is, do you believe this person or not? Do you believe that this person is that person saying those things? And so now the other side to that is people like yourselves who train, there is a big difference. Because out in LA, you know, everybody's just in the gym staring at their abs in the mirror. They basically should be doing reality TV going, how come you work, man? Look at me. Look at me doing curls. Look at me doing, and they have no knowledge of what it's like. This is a freaking craft. You know, I don't care how smart, funny, cool, all those things that you are. As soon as you get a script with black and white words on it, somehow it boxes you into this two-dimensional form that you have to learn to go in there and do it. You know what the scene, you know how it starts, you know how it ends, and somehow you take this artifice and then you infuse it with all the life that you have. And that's craft. So, yes, it makes a difference.
It does make a difference. There's no question. People, you know, I think you mentioned Juilliard or whatever. You know, you can't tell who went. It's not like, well, there's a fucking method actor. You know what I mean? Yeah, or this guy's a whatever. You know, because you're not looking for that. You're looking for what's happening in the. And by the way, just on the method, I think you guys studied some Meisner here, right? Is that sort of the thing? I want to, you know, I've studied Sandy Meisner. The guy I studied with at Strasberg studied under Sandy for years, and also Lee. It's important to know that there is no such thing as the method. It's yours. It becomes yours. And there's so many different places to pull from. You know, it's going to evolve. It's going to grow. You're going to find this works for you. This other thing, not so much. But for somebody right next to you, it could be the complete opposite. It's your instrument. And you decide, you know, you'll discover, you know, what things work best. An example is, you know, I don't know how many of you guys ever watched baseball or played baseball, but every Little League baseball player is taught to bat the same way. You know, they bend at the knees with their elbow up, and every single one of them swing through the pitch. In the major leagues, there's not a single guy who bats the same way as anybody else, and the reason is because they've done it over and over and over and over again, and they've made it their own. It's theirs now. And it's important to know that. And this, you guys are studying Meisner. That's fucking great. Repetition, man. Get after it. It's awesome. You know, look into other things later on. You know, when you guys move out to Los Angeles and start working in film and television, find a class. And find a class that maybe, you know, maybe dabbles in Stella, you know, or whatever. Try different things, and it's you're gonna make it yours, you know, as you continue on this journey.
When you're sitting in the room doing the scene for the director, you can somnambulate, you can do the scene, you can change the molecules of the air, you can be the one that sets the tone where they're like, wow, there's something special about this person. And in the conversation before and after, or there's a chance for the director to go, okay, I like that, but I want you to take where you finish the scene, and I want you to start the scene with that same level of emotion and then take it from there, you know, and then you show them how directable you are, like what, and you win them over that way. And the problem with New York a lot of the time was you just weren't in the room physically with those people. You were, you know, the greatest high school basketball game of all time. If you're there, it's crazy. If you see it through the videotape of the audiovisual department, it's like, it looks like the most flat, boring thing ever. And it's kind of like that with auditioning, you know. And so that was one benefit to being there, because a lot of the times, and a joke used to be, too, it's like, save yourself the 3,000-mile flight for the rejection that's coming, and possibly, you know. Like, people would fly out and just like, they hold you up in a hotel and make you wait, and it's mind-numbing, and then it doesn't work out or does work out or whatever. New York's a better place to live. New York's the coolest city in the world. New York's all that stuff. It's just a little bit harder in terms of getting jobs. The straight-up acting jobs, film and television-wise, it's not impossible. Another thing is, because of tax credits, now it changed. New York had film coming to it for a while, so it made it better. But, you know, Detroit, Shreveport, a bunch of different places. Canada, if you're Canadian, there's so many places where there's a ton of film production. Pittsburgh, if you live there, it might be the kind of place where you break in sooner to get the smaller parts, to build up a little bit of a resume before you move out to Los Angeles. You know, I mean, if you really want the good parts, ultimately you're going to get sick of hearing that they gave it to someone from LA. Whether they're better than you or not, that's a totally different issue. But they'll feel confident about giving it to someone from there. But, you know, no, New York is a great, you can carve whatever career in life you want from probably anywhere you want. But it's a good, out there, it's, you know, it's just a numbers game, and it seems to be a lot more opportunity. Okay.
So maybe certainly give them an opportunity. I just want to thank you both for, you know, such a great hour, and just as a group of them keep telling me that they're supposed to be somewhere.
Okay.
So maybe we'll let you guys go. Is there maybe a last question? Anyone want to?
I'm a diehard fan of the show, and I was wondering if I could get a picture with you guys about my friend's face.
Well, we're kind of true, like, if we were playing a murderer, like, I was just wondering what worked for you, Harry, to go into that character every day.
You want me to give you all my weird secrets? Well, you know, I'll talk to you